economic base, develop a plan for action to achieve the goals to make us totally independent and not have to look to the man to in order to survive. We are not liberated. We must become doers and producers in the system in order to be able to control our destinies. We have the potential, but we must consolidate all of our strength for eventual liberation. And the black man's responsibility today is to establish his own values and his own goals. In doing so, he will be affecting the larger American society of which he is a part. The black man and the black woman, however, cannot act alone. We must act within community or family, job, and neighborhood. I mean, let's not kid ourselves into thinking that the white man is suddenly going to make the choice readily available. In humanitarian terms, the war on poverty must be fought wherever it is found. Part of the battle must be fought within the establishment of the $100 per week minimum for all Americans so that subsidization by welfare authorities is drastically reduced. And a man is paid a decent living wage in today's automated society, in today's most affluent society, if you please. The goal must be 250 per hour, a national minimum for all Americans. This reduces poverty. We will be able to get more people off of welfare relief rolls and onto tax rolls. We can get them out of the alleys of society and onto the mainstreams of productive society and of productive employment where they can support themselves and their dependents with dignity and pride, where they can contribute to the growth and the strength of the nation's economy. Well, you have to recognize, first of all, gentlemen, you have to really recognize that I'm doing something in this country that has never been done before. It's a question of reorientation, education, and inclusion. Never before in the history of this country, ever since the inception of the republic, had you had a woman seriously running for the presidency of this country. Now, I'm not talking about someone going out here nominating someone at the convention as a mere gesture of symbolism or tokenism. I'm talking about someone going out here on the highways and the byways for the past 7.5 months, saying to the American people that indeed this is a multifaceted society, that Mrs. Chisholm can be considered for the presidency of this country. You see, I was breaking a tradition on which white males have been the only gentlemen to guide the ship of state. So you can't expect people, black, white, man, or woman, to suddenly break with a tradition that has been steeped ever since the inception of this republic. But you see, I have faith in the American people. I believe that we are smart enough to correct our mistakes. I believe that we are intelligent enough to recognize the talents, energy, and dedication which all Americans, including women and minorities, have to offer. I know from my travels to the cities and small towns that we have a vast potential in getting this great nation together. I know millions of Americans from all walks of life agree with me when I say leadership is more than putting your ear to the ground or to go with public opinion. But it's in its vision to recognize what is necessary and the courage to make it happen, building a strong and just society, which is in its diversity and is noble in its way of life. I stand before you today to repudiate the ridiculous notion that the majority of Americans will not continue to vote for qualified candidates simply because he is not white or she is not male. I do not believe that in 1972, the vast majority of Americans will continue to harbor such narrow and petty prejudices. I believe that the American people are in the mood to discard the political personalities and politics of the past. The goal at the Democratic National Convention was to establish a platform to choose a choice for candidate of the presidency and embrace his choice for the vice presidency. It's as simple as that, but also more complicated. You see, here I am, Shirley Chisholm, African American woman running for the presidency of this country. Now, who would have thought that a girl from the islands would be in this position? And guess what? I have some delegates at this convention, which makes me a broker. I stepped into the press room surrounded by reporters. A lot of people are wondering, why is she going over here or trying to get delegates over here? The fact of the matter is that we cannot continue to accept things as they are. We see that certain segments of the population are not being respected. And even if I don't achieve the nomination, I am here at this convention with delicate strength because that's the name of the game. You can come to this convention and yell, woman power, here I come, or black power, or any sorts of things. The only thing that those hard-nosed boys are going to understand is how many delegates you got. No, I don't understand what the big problem is. We see that in Georgia, Mississippi, Alabama, nothing but busing went on. But it was busing of black children. Now, this shows the double standards in our country. In America, there's this attitude from men towards women in the political arena. It has nothing to do with hatred or animosity. It's a male female syndrome in American politics. And I have the support of Ron Dillums and about five other members of the Congressional Black Caucus. Let me tell you something. There were people who weren't going to vote for me anyhow. I am excited to say that the party conducted voter registration drives as a way of moving forward in American politics. They are coming back home. A few days after the press conference, as I continued to get questions from reporters, I wondered if my supporters from the Congressional Black Caucus would hold up. You see, they had pledged to help me. Perry Mitchell from Baltimore and John Conyers, well, half and half. He couldn't really make up his mind, none. I was wanted for delegates at this convention to put together a package, deliver something to the people. But what do I hear? Not to support Shirley Chisholm, something of standard for the black masses. But it's too late. You made your bids, your digs, your transactions, what have you. And I still hear not to support Shirley Chisholm. Handshakes. Your delegates represents my state. Think, I wanted for the white front runners to deliver something to the black masses. And some in the Congressional Black Caucus still say, not to support Shirley Chisholm. That's fine. You've made your contracts and I have come down here and eroded them completely. Because you see, they didn't believe that Mrs. Chisholm knows how to maneuver. Don't pay her any mind, they say. But you can't just wish me away. Turns out Perry Mitchell was more faithful to his politics, and John was never on board in the first place. But as I said before, delegates is the name of the game. And after 6.5 months of campaigning and 11 primaries, I have 28 delegates prepared to vote for me at this convention. So you see, everyone is pledged to their candidate on the first ballot. If there's more than one ballot, all bets are off. They can vote for whomever they like. So for McGovern to win this, he would need it on the first ballot. Now, this gave me a little bit of an edge, but I needed more to get on the second ballot, which was problem number one facing me. Problem number two was trying to unify the Congressional Black Caucus, which was more than I could say. I was stuck in between two minorities. Neither would help me achieve the goal. I was too black. It's all about equality. No women's movement and power only. So what do I say? It's about the people. Power to the people talk only. Running in a campaign to represent the United States. You are our sister motherhood, women's rights. Fight, fight, fight. And stay with the entire black equality, no women's rights only. I was stuck. Blacks didn't want women's talk, and women didn't want any black issues addressed. And if it couldn't get any worse, I heard rumors that my supporters from the Congressional Black Caucus were contemplating taking their delegates over to McGovern. I had to convince them to vote my way outright. As I stepped into the press room, I received that same nervous energy that I had at that speaking competition back home in Barbados. And then I remember what my grandmother said to me all those years ago. And then I had the words. My brothers and sisters, let me tell it to you this afternoon like it really is. The only thing that you've got going, brothers and sisters, there's one thing that you've got going. Your one vote. Don't sell that vote out. The black people of America are watching us. Find out what these white candidates who need our votes are going to do for us concretely, not rhetorically. Yes, I want to make a statement announcing the releasing of my delegates so they can go to whomever they like. Yes. Well, we just lowered the big boom. Just got to pray over the matter now. I like to say that my speech changed things. However, this is politics, and everyone has their own goals. It was really difficult looking into my volunteers' eyes that night. A lot of tears in that room. The state law was upheld, and McGovern won California, keeping 271 delegates, which eliminated any chance we had at a nomination. Well, I have to practice my concession speech. In unity, there is strength. And I want to make it quite clear that it was the delegates that made history here tonight. The delegates that made history here tonight. And I just remember my husband in his usual voice. He fought the good fight. I decided to run for office despite the hopeless odds and to demonstrate the sheer refusal to accept the status quo. Funny, on the day I made my campaign announcement, I took a long walk down the aisle of the church. Reminded me of that long walk I took to that speaking competition with my grandmother. I wish my father and grandmother were here to see me now. Well, now you know a little about me. I have to finish my speech. In conclusion, all of you who share this vision from New York to California, from Wisconsin to Florida, our brothers and sisters on the road to a national unity and a new America, those of you who were locked outside of the convention hall in 1968, those of you who can now vote for the first time, those of you who agree with me that the institutions of this country belong to all of the people who inhabit it, those of you who have been neglected, left out, ignored, forgotten, or shunned aside for whatever reason, give me your help at this hour. Join me in the effort to reshape our society and regain control of our destiny as we go down the Chisholm Trail for 1972.
All right, let's hear it for Shirley Chisholm. Shirley for president. Shirley for president. Shirley for president. Shirley for president. Madam President, good to see you. Let's give her another big hand, you all. Ordinarily, we'd have her come out and speak, but we started a little late, and she's rushing to get to the airport to get back to D.C. Hakeem, are we going to have a little talk back anyway? Okay, I'll let you come up and talk about that. But I just want to thank Hakeem. I want to thank Beverly. I want to thank Pastor Simmons. Let's give them a big hand. Give them a big hand, you all. I know that we have some future Barack Obama sitting in the audience, don't we? Can I get an amen on that? We have some future Kamala Harris's here. Can I get an amen on that? Future Ketanji Jackson's here. Can I get an amen on that? I know y'all were very quiet. Usually we have people talking back to the audience and everything, but I hope y'all were soaking it in. It may not really hit you right now, but maybe months, maybe years from now, you're going to say, wow, she talked about black women rights. She talked about white women rights. She talked about people of all color rights. And you don't hear politicians talking like that anymore. So hopefully this will inspire all of you to break those glass ceilings. Again, thank you, thank you, thank you, Maryland, D.C., South Carolina. Thank you all. Mr. Hakeem, you want to come up? Thank you, staff of the church here. Miss Denise is our stage manager there. Mr. Prince is our tech director there. We had Mr. Chris helping us from the church, and Mr. Eugene from the church, and Brother Jeffrey helping us from the church. We thank you all for being supportive. Let's give them a hand, you all. It takes a lot to do something like this. We came all the way from down from DC to do this. Thank you, my brother.
Seats up front here, but perhaps we may have to do it a little different. Oh, okay. I was saying if we had some seats, I think those are attached. Okay. Can we get some young people here, please, to go grab some of those seats and bring like 5 up there. Mama Day, you had a question? Oh, but are we real fast? Is she able to do a picture? I know. Yeah, I'm ready. Okay. Okay. And I have something to present to her real fast, real quick, if possible. Right here, yeah. Thank you. Like 6 of them, six chairs. And one of y'all got your phones. I just want to take a picture. If she's able to come back out real fast. That's all. Thank you, Mama. Say again. She got to get up. She got to. Okay, beautiful. Okay, I have something for her. Answer a few questions. Well, he can participate, and you can participate in the talk back as well. Oh, if yeah, thank you. Okay, all right. So, face them this way, everybody. Come on. Charmaine, Dr. Marriott. Let's see, Lorraine.
Okay, here she is, out of costume, but she's got to get to that airport. Give us another big hand, you all.
Well, you're out of costume, but um, I came on the first night, the opening night in DC, and so I was very pleased that you were there. But I have a gift for you. Well, because Dr. Maya Cummings did the talk back a little later, so I have his book, her husband's book that she actually wrote. So I just wanted to give you a copy of this. And you are as well a Delta, right? No. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Right. No. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for clarifying. And we have Dr. Salima Marriott, who was she's a Delta, but she is a come on, Charmaine. Yes, she was a delegate in the city of Baltimore as well for 16 years, and a deputy mayor, and another Delta, and another one over there too. So they're excited to just be present with you as well. Yes. 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 Okay. So you definitely will make it there on time. Can we get a picture? Y'all ready? Uh, you wanna y'all wanna stand real fast? No, it's okay. We'll be real fast. Charmaine, you want to stand? Okay, everybody, just come on, everybody. Can you hold this book up? 'Cause we're gonna send it to Dr. Maya and thank her for doing what she did for you guys. Thank you, sister. Up there in the middle. We got a few pictures. Mama Ade. You good? Okay. All right. One more. All right. Thank you. Thank you very much, and enjoy. And we appreciate you. See you in DC. soon. All right. All right. So we appreciate Mama Lorraine. Another round of applause. Okay. All right. Dominique Brown. Dominique Brown as well. So this and Mr. Lynn can share how long this actual production. Well, first I want to ask, how many of y'all have been? I know we have some individuals that are studying theater or interested as well. So we want to get some feedback first, and we have some young people here. You all know, well, for those that are not, that didn't ride down with us, this is Dr. Salima Marriott, and I'll let everybody just introduce themselves. How about that? And I'll let you all share a little bit, and I'll just come back and ask some few questions. And what did you think about the play? We watched, for those that were not on our bus, I'm sorry, we watched Unbossed, the documentary, uh, and so we got a good gist of it. So what did you think as well? So open up and share your name as well. Introduce yourself when you speak as well. All right, thank you.
As was indicated, I'm Dr. Salima Marriott Gibbs from Baltimore.
My name is Hudson Flowers. I was born in DC, but I live in Maryland right now. And honestly, I liked the play. Didn't really know that much information beforehand because I did fall asleep in that bus. 3 hours is a long time. Y'all are asking for a lot, but I enjoyed the play. I learned some stuff I didn't know, and there was some stuff I did know, and I was like, dang, I needed that. So
Hi, I'm Jazzy. I'm from Baltimore, Maryland, and I really enjoyed the play. I also fell asleep during the bus ride, but I'm in theater, and I thought it was really cool how she played multiple people at like once. Cause like I would think that would be really hard, but I enjoyed it.
Thank you. I'm Shawnae Turner, and I am with the Y in, oh, and I'm with the Y in Central Maryland, and I enjoyed everything about the play, and just being able to learn and understand history and how it repeats itself and how we're still here. That was in 1972, and we're in 2022, and we're still dealing with some of those same concerns and issues. And being able to see how she mobilized in a grassroots level back then, and know and understand that we don't need all of the money, that we still need the cash. Wait, don't get me wrong, we still need it. And she acknowledged that. That I don't know if she acknowledged it here or in the film, but she said it wasn't a lot of money, and had she had more cash, she would have been able to mobilize and do more. But I appreciated the fact that it was she highlighted here today how that grassroots organizing supported her campaign.
So we titled this talk back from Shirley Chisholm. I always want to say Shirley Nathan Pulliam, so I'm so close to her. But they both from the islands. That's the senator from Baltimore that I work closely with. But Shirley Chisholm to Kamala Harris, and now we have the Supreme Court justice at this time. So Black women are on the rise, and Mama Elder, can you speak to just your experiences? What were you? Where did you see this at that time in the 1972? Can you just share your experiences and what were you doing at that time? That if you can remember, were you still an activist? I mean, so you all may not know, but she was a Black Panther, right? I mean, well, I'm sorry. Well, you were active or in an affiliate. Okay, let me just clarify for the record, but it's okay to be an affiliate of movements that speak to our issues, right? So as she said, as you saw, she said that the Black Panthers endorsed her. How did she feel about that? So can you just speak to that in terms of what was going on at that time for you?
Well, I'm trying to reflect and I'm trying to connect. And so before I was an elected official, I was an actor. And connecting is that I returned to Baltimore from New York in 1968. I became an activist and a parent as a parent advocate in New York in 1966 when my daughter entered the public schools in New York. So I know that these dates far date you all because my daughter is probably old enough to be your grandmom. So kind of look at it like that. But in any event, the movement that brought me into activism at a national level and brought me into relationship with Dr. King, and some of you may have heard, I always speak of peace when I talk about Dr. King, and that's because it was in the midst of the anti-war movement against the Vietnam War. And so it also gave me an international perspective. And the international perspective was deeply connected to being a Pan-Africanist. It was about Africa, my international perspective. So in any event, what the Shirley Chisholm campaign did in 1972 for many African American women, it showed us that the civil rights movement by 1972, as well as the women's movement by 1972, in terms of their response for African American woman running for president was bankrupt because her campaign should have been able to build from those two movements. And that was not manifest. So what Black women began to do in large numbers was to form their own African American women's organization, different than had been in the current period of time during the civil rights movement. But most of those women came out of the civil rights movement and began to form women's organizations. And I'm going to stop here and say that becomes the foundation. Women's organizations, Black women's organizations springing up around the country became a foundation for women getting elected. And that's the fact that we move up from Shirley Chisholm to Kamala.
All right. We're gonna be explaining because you did a lot. Like I was gonna do some, but am I explaining the similarity as a saying? What do you want me? What do you want me to do?
Why don't you talk about your mother? Talk
My,
about your mother.
my mother? Oh, my mother? I thought my mom could have been. I'm sorry. My dad will be getting into my. Sorry. So my mom, Kim Flowers, from what I know, she did a lot of activism as like a college student. From what she tells me like short little like stories. She hasn't really gone into too much detail about them, but she would always talk about how, you know, there were certain things she couldn't do and certain things she could do, and how she knew it was unfair. And I mean, she could do them at that point, but she still had to. I think my mom. This is a family one. I think my family's biggest fear was history, trying to overwrite stuff that happened. But I mean by that is like us forgetting what happened. And I mean, as of right now, that's kind of what's happening. Um, you're not really learning about not too much Black history in schools, and that's my mom's biggest fear is that me and my brother and just our family in general won't have the same education of Black people as her generation. So she made it like she's making it her mission to teach not just me and my brother, anyone she can find, anybody young, and you don't even have to be young to learn. Like she is teaching everybody with the help of my dad, of course, um, about anything Black history related. Like anytime I've seen them sit people down. If they see a Black person doing something that's against their race, they will sit them and say, "Hey, you probably shouldn't be doing that. You probably, you're in a public area. Maybe we shouldn't be like jumping on tables and stuff. Maybe we should be more polite, you know." And of course, we're all young. We're gonna do stuff like that. But at the same time, you got to think about our public image. Um, we're Black people. I'm gonna say that right now. A good amount of us here are Black. You can't. We can't go around doing what we want all the time because right now we are being perceived in a way that it won't help our reputation anymore if we do stuff we want to do. We have to stay in a certain lane, and until we fight against other. One day, trust me, you'll be able to do what you want to do. Trust me. But follow the rules for right now and stay in your lane. And you should be good. Yes, that's how you trying to raise your. Of course. I just like to ask, why aren't you up here? Because that was crazy.
I don't know what to say, but I do want to agree with him when he was saying how we can't do certain things because of the way others may perceive us. And I have a lot of things that happened to me in school when like I was younger because it was a predominantly white school and it was elementary, so people would talk about my skin color, One time a kid spit in my hair and called me the N word. Like, it was just a lot of racial things that were going on. And it did stick with me as I got older. And I'm more comfortable in my skin color and with myself now. But another example I have is actually before I left, my cousin was going to work, and in my house, my uncle, he's like, make sure you wear your belt around your pants, or make sure your pants are up, don't make sure your pants are saggy. You can't wear your U rack out everywhere. And my cousin had just got his hair done, and he's not a bad kid at all, but he was going to work, and his Uber came, and he had his do rag on that day, and the Uber just went right past him, didn't pick him up or do anything. And so that's why I agree with him on we have to behave a certain way just so we don't get perceived as what we think we actually are.
Great, thank you. Um, Dr. Marriott, how do conversations come full circle? So Dr. Marriott and I were on the bus on the way here in those 3 hours that you all fell asleep. Um, and we were talking about representation and what that is and what that looks like from all of you here today, and how what we do in public spaces can't transcend the same way that they do in private spaces. And not only are you representing yourself and your ancestors and your families and your communities, what happens is there is a narrative that continues to be created about who we are as a people. And so when you show up in those public spaces in such a way that doesn't honor all of those people that I just named, um, you also stand the chance of there is another person that don't look like you that has this narrative about a do-rag and what it is about a do-rag and how a person is perceived. And when you show up with that do-rag and then you actually act that way, you continue that narrative for that person. And what happens is things like white supremacy and racism and so on, that narrative continues when there is repeated behaviors in certain ways. So there are images, there is language, and so on. Now, don't get us wrong. We all know that we good, right? Like you said, your cousin was fine. But to the other person that may not know, when that behavior is displayed in that way, that narrative just continues. And I'll give you an example even on the flip side of what that looks like, because you all may be able to relate to it. I went to drop off some materials last year to a person that lived in, I want to say this person lived in, I believe I was in like the Middle River area in the Baltimore metropolitan communities. And I'm driving through this community. As I'm driving, I see a lot of Trump um, flags and signs. I mean, like every other house for maybe a mile. And I had this visceral reaction, like my body got tensed, um, and I was afraid, quite frankly, right? And as I continued to drive through this community, it was a community where it was one way in and one way out. So it's not like you could drive through the community; you had to make a U-turn to get back out of there. And at some point, there were a group of white men that were on motorcycles. They were bikers, and I lost it. Like, just absolutely lost it. Now, I had to keep my cool because my 8-year-old son was in the car with me at the time, but I lost it without him knowing and understanding that I lost it. There was no reason for me to feel that way. Zero. I've never had an encounter with a um, with a person, a biker, a white biker that impacted me in any kind of way. But what happens is there are images, right, that are ingrained in my head at by almost 50 years old. There are images of what that looks like when there is a biker or a group of bikers and that they are white men. And that image is the image that sticks with me all the time. So in that moment, seeing the Trump flags, seeing the bikers, I lost it, right? Same way, sometimes you have people that react to you and your behavior simply because that's the narrative and that's the only narrative they know because that's what they see on television. Those are the images that they show. And the media will allow the images that they want out there to persist, right? It's by design. It is by design. So when your cousin had that do rag on, the reason why that Uber driver probably acted in that way is one or two things. It's a narrative that is persistent in his own head, or he had some sort of encounter that had him react that way.
Anybody got any questions? How many people in theater here? Okay, wow, wow. All right, we got a good amount, Mr. Lynn. You got some young recruits here. They're from Baltimore, but tell us about your, if I may, just really quick, your multimedia, what you do with young people. He had a full young production.
Yeah. Yeah, our program is a Multimedia Training Institute, and we start as young as 14 to 24 years old. And young people, a lot of the lights, audio, and sound, and see, so that today, young people are behind the scenes running all of that. Of course, we didn't bring them down here. They're in school to finishing school up, but they're your ages, okay? And they get paid in Washington D.C. to do that from the city. So they are some of the classes, because of pandemic, most of them are online. So they learn how to write for journalism, for radio production, how to write for arts administration. It takes a lot to bring a show and move the show around and book the hotels and make sure the air flights are straight and make sure people are moving. So that's behind the scenes. That's all those kinds of things what an arts administrator do. And then there's entrepreneurship because, we plan to bring the show back to South Carolina. We want to pack the house so that someone's got to get the groups and organizations to come out and those groups can raise money using the play. And so that's the entrepreneur part of it. And then there's the technical theater, which I was just talking to you about, video production. You see these young people are learning how to do that also. So there probably is a program in Maryland and in Baltimore and in the suburbs in Maryland that has a program, for young people, but in our program, you'd have to live in the District of Columbia to get paid to do that. And this is our 40th anniversary. Can you believe it? Lord, because I'm dating myself. 40 years. I have young people coming up to me, Mr. Dyson, my son, and I was in your program. So it just feels good to give back and see the fruits of your labor. We have some young people that started their own company, and they're like, much bigger than my little small nonprofit. But that's what it's all about. You pass it back, and their company now is doing stuff internationally because they started out video workshop. And the same thing you can do yourself. Focus on what you want to do. If you're a theater student, then be the best that you can be at that. And use theater as a tool to entertain and to educate. Just like Dominique, she used theater to say something, to make a difference. So hopefully she made a difference to you all today, that you want to aspire to be the best that you can be. All right? So if you have folk in DC that want to be in our program, let them know. And seek out the Arts Commission in Baltimore and suburbs of Maryland and see if they have a program that you can get into. Thank you, Hakeem.
Thanks again. All right. Well, I guess we did about 30 minutes, but anybody had any pressing questions for anybody up here? Y'all worry about Walmart, aren't y'all? No, we got food outside. But yes, Mama. And then the young lady.
I just wanted to know what the actor's name was.
So my question is for the students. So I know we're only on day 2 of our tour, and it sounds like both of you guys' parents are really familiar with the civil rights movement and things like that. So I just had a question that was there any talks or preparation from your parents about preparing to come on a trip like this, or how to behave or anything like that?
Uh, yeah, from my grandma. Because my family is really big on, I guess, behaving in a certain manner when you go out places. And she told me to be well mannered, to show respect, um, and to be open minded and to learn about history because she knew about everything. Like she really wanted to go, like she knew about everything and like the manuals and stuff. And I didn't know much at all because they don't teach a lot of this stuff in school. But my grandma and my uncle did have a talk with me um, about coming on the trip.
I didn't have a talk. I was like kind of pulled on to the thing. Like so I didn't really have a talk with my parents. I mean, my whole life has kind of just been a discussion about it. Uh, so civil rights movement is kind of really big with my father. He really doesn't mess around with that kind of stuff. So yeah, I mean, my whole life, there's been a discussion about race. Um, not too much race, but politics. How to handle yourself in some situations. But to answer the question, no, I had no preparation coming here.
Who it is out there? You had a question, Mama Day? Okay, all right. One young lady, and then we come to Mama Day, and I know people hungry. Um,
I have a question. I think her name's like Jazz. Why do you feel like that we have to change our presence to fit in with the white stereotypes? I just feel like I get it. You want to act professional in certain things. So if you had an office job before government, you don't wear do rag. But if you're working like not that high up of a job, why change yourself? That's our culture. So I just want to know why.
okay, she want to answer. I'll let her answer.
I oh
And I like to think about it because it is a statement. And when you look around this room, all of you practically have hair that reflects your African culture in a significant way. And it makes people look at you. You're making a statement, and it's a very important statement. So I don't want you to get carried away with thinking that you cannot make any statements that are political and empowering, and it says who you are, and it speaks to people having to accept all of you. And so one of the things that connects me with him, who is his mom, is that I began to wear natural hair 56 years ago. And it was so, when I came back to Baltimore, my parents, even though I was an adult, they thought I would not be able to get a job and begged me to change my hair so that I could get a job. Now, my generation, which is Flowers' grandparents, his grandfather was my contemporary. And so his grandmother was my contemporary. But very few of my contemporaries had any kind of natural hair. But Kim, his mom, went to her father because she wanted her hair like mine. And she really didn't know me. It blew her dad's mind. And he came to me, Dad, with my little girl. people would look at me and think about people like me as not being together. And so one of the things that was important to me is that I did other things to make people understand I can do this and I can do that, and you don't like my husband. But you see, it's not stopping me. And so my daughter, she decided she wanted to be a corporate person. So and she had the hair too. She didn't like it, but it eventually grew on her. What I did for her was made her so fabulously designer European clothes with her natural hair. And so when she stepped in corporate America to be interviewed, it was like, oh, she's smart and she's sharp. And so the hair disappeared, but she kept the hair. So hair, I just want to pull out hair and how it has evolved over time, and how I feel it feels so good to see so many of you. And some of you may not be today, maybe some other day. The hair is a political statement. It may not seem like it now, but when I was your age, it was a major political statement.
I was actually gonna say the same thing that she was talking about. For example, we all know who Zendaya is, and so when she wore locks to I forget where she went, but she wore locks and she got so much controversial talk about it. How people would say it was disgusting, or you shouldn't have wore this, or it smelled like this. And so I do feel like hair definitely has a way of others judging us, or the do rags, or saggy pants, or anything in that area.
Really quick, if we have somebody that's going to talk about the food.
Real quick, I go to a private school, and unfortunately, is a very white private school. Um, at the school I go to, they had a very big discussion on hair, and it was um, it was a big controversy because certain black people couldn't wear certain hair, couldn't wear like any dreads or lock. You could not, your hair couldn't be past here. So a lot of the kids, they said something about it, and things were changed. But you kind of have to. It takes a while. It took like 5 years for that change to happen. You got to keep asking about it. You got to make good trouble. That's what they call it, to see a change in anything. So.
Thank you all for that discussion. So, Mama, I mean, yeah, how about we do it on the bus because the food is out there. But Elder Carly, because yes. Hold up, y'all. Wait. We're gonna talk about the food. We're gonna have Elder Carly is gonna share. Hi, nice to see you. Pleasure. Pleasure. Okay, so we're gonna talk about the food, y'all.